Speaking of uncertainty, the COVID-19 situation, which created weekly, if not daily questions last year, continues to hover over the 2021 season. And there still is a group of viewers out there, and we appreciate all of our viewers, but they get a little antsy. They get a little upset when we talk about the pandemic. Well, folks, it's still a major factor. It's here.
Fact.
It's still here. It's not over, despite what your algorithms may be feeding you on Facebook. It's not over. It is here. And the NFL's protocols conflict with the pandemic in a very stark way, specifically for the unvaccinated. And we've spoken a lot about the Vikings and the Bills as two of the teams that have a significant group of unvaccinated players. The Colts do as well.
Yes,
we found that out yesterday. Carson Wentz, one of 3 Colts placed on the reserve COVID list because of close contact with an infected person. Now, you don't get knocked out for 5 days because of close contact with an infected person unless you're unvaccinated. So for all these efforts to keep it secret and keep it quiet, which I don't agree with, I think it should be transparent, this is a way it necessarily becomes transparent. Close contact, 5 days, COVID-19 reserve, that means the player was not vaccinated. So we've learned another starting quarterback, Chris, not vaccinated in Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I mean, and another one, like a Cam Newton or anybody else out there, where I'd go, why? Why? Your life's hanging in the balance. I mean, in football life, right?
And actual life, potentially.
Yeah, I don't know. I say that because I that was my life when I was playing quarterback. I mean, it was like,
but this is for many a life and death situation, as we continue to find out.
No
although
doubt.
Plenty of people want to ignore that.
No, you're right. There's no doubt. I mean, again, one, I want to just as a basic human go, why? We have all the evidence that this stuff works. It works. It's better for our society. Like Jerry Jones said, check I at the door. Let's start talking we. And then, you know what? When you talk about we, it might actually help I out. And now I is sitting your butt over on the sideline again. So there you were, injured. I was injured, and now I am not practicing because I have close contacts to COVID. I just don't get it. I really don't. It couldn't be worse timing. He's just getting back in the flow of things from the foot injury. And, it's a huge year for him, for his career. I mean, everybody is, it's like, man, Carson Wentz, is he going to take off and be awesome with a team that supports him, or is it going to be fall on his face Carson Wentz, a little bit what we saw last year? I mean, his career is teetering here right now. This is a huge year for him. He's had lack of practice time, as we talked about already, and as we brought up a million times too, they have an unbelievable schedule. They view themselves, as a Super Bowl team, and they got to be like going crazy because they can't be very happy with what they've seen with Jacob Eason to this point. It's been okay, but nothing great. You're not going, oh, we're going to beat the Seahawks, Rams, Titans, Dolphins, and Ravens with Jacob Eason. No, you're not. I'm sorry. This just in, you're not. And now Ellinger's hurt, and they don't have that option either. So I'm dumbfounded by it. I really am. I can't believe Carson Wentz would take the risk, and now he's going to have to reap the repercussions here.
Yeah, this is a guy who's trying to reestablish himself after a horrendous 2020 season. He wants to show he's a franchise quarterback. He wants to stick it, presumably, to the Eagles for drafting Jalen Hurts last year and putting him on the hot seat and eventually making him want out. He's got every reason to do whatever he can to be available. And I tweeted this yesterday, and this isn't anything new. I just wanted to hammer home the point. It is impossible to reconcile refusal to be vaccinated with willingness to do whatever you can to be available to play in every game. It cannot be reconciled. I don't care how much plexiglass Kirk Cousins is going to wrap himself in. You get tested every day if you're unvaccinated. Positive, you're gone for 10 days. Could happen on game day. Gone for 10 days. See you later. Forget about winning that game when we have a game plan ready for you, and all of a sudden we got to flock to the backup instead.
Right.
Second, this close contact thing. Close contact with anyone who's infected. They're still wearing the tracking devices.
Right.
You got somebody who's vaccinated who's got a mask on, but somehow you get it or they get it and you're close to them. 5 days minimum. That's what happened to Carson Wentz. So you cannot reconcile refusal to be vaccinated with willingness to be available for the team, for yourself as a professional who wants to play in every possible game. It cannot be reconciled. I don't care what anyone says. You cannot harmonize those 2 points, because if you're committed to being available for every possible game under the rules the NFL has put in place, you get yourself vaccinated. Period. And we keep seeing example after example where we just scratch our heads and say, how does this guy not get it? It's one thing for Kirk Cousins, who is completely safe. It's another thing for Cam Newton, Carson Wentz, guys who are trying to resurrect their careers, putting themselves in a position where they can't play. I'm dumbfounded by it. I never would have expected it in a sport like football, where the players do what they're expected to do to be available to play. Well, they do that for everything but the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, listen, we talked about a year and a half ago, I don't think players are going to give a damn about COVID or be scared about it and all those type of things. Listen, I understand you don't need to be scared about it or anything like that. But, for the betterment of your football team, some of your older coaches, we have way more evidence now than we did a year and a half ago. I mean, there's no way to argue this anymore. There's no argument. I don't know. Go down to the states that are not vaccinated right now and look what's going on. I mean, yeah, again, you're right. Now, some people, I don't know if they know what's going on because of their algorithm on Facebook, like you're talking about. They're not even like in reality there. But the reality is those places are in some tough spots because they're not vaccinated. It works. Come on. And I just can't understand it professionally either. For a guy who looks like he would do anything to play football, but this is where he's going to draw the line. And that's where I don't get it either, like you're saying. I do not get it. And maybe he learns from this lesson, and hopefully he does, and he can play the rest of the year.
You know how the media feels compelled whenever there's a hurricane to send reporters right into harm's way to prove that it's a hurricane?
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing and seeing more reporting from these hospitals that are completely overrun, from the families who can't get people into a hospital? Because I feel like it's not as prevalent as it needs to be.
Right.
To get the attention of the people who still think it's all fake, it's all phony, it's all the flu.
Those news networks aren't going to go there. I don't know. The news I'm watching, they still are talking about that stuff a little. It's not dominating like it once was. And, yeah, maybe they need to be a little bit more forceful with it too. But I just feel like there's some people who have got caught in their own news cycle and really aren't even aware of some of those realities. And that's where our world is. Our country especially has gone crazy with a whole bunch of different topics here over the last few years.
By the way, there was a change made yesterday to the protocol for 2021 as it relates to COVID-19. The NFL and the NFL Players Association have agreed that vaccinated players will now be tested once per week instead of once every 14 days. The union at one point suggested daily testing even for vaccinated players, which the league has resisted so far. The union, in a letter to all players yesterday, explained they're still going to be pressing for potential changes as needed to the testing protocol. But it will be a weekly test now for the vaccinated players, not every 14 days, which increases the possibility
close contact
of a guy getting knocked out and a close contact flowing from it. That's a great point. It's not just the vaccinated player getting knocked out. It's vaccinated player tests positive, and anyone with that tracking device where it shows enough time spent around him. If you're unvaccinated, no questions asked, you're gone. Because if you're vaccinated, they haven't changed that rule.
Right.
You don't get knocked out for 5 days for a close contact.
Right. I mean, that's the thing that, first off, I think this was the proper thing because, we're seeing enough people get the virus that are still vaccinated. We know they don't get as sick or die. So that's the good thing. Again, that's why we get vaccinated. But, yeah, when I saw it, I just went, man, there's another reason to get vaccinated. Because now if you are unvaccinated, there's more of a chance you're going to get a guy now that is vaccinated and has those protocols. But, okay, now he's gotten the virus, and, yeah, he was fine, and he's asymptomatic and all those things, but you were eating lunch with him. Tough crap. See you later. See you 6 days from now. Or your 2, negative PCR tests, whenever that is. So I don't get it. And for guys like Carson Wentz, like we talked about back in the spring, these are the exact guys where you're like, what? And like roster bubble guys that it's a huge year for your career, all those things, that's where I can't make any logic of it.
I get plenty of emails from people who want to argue with me about the effectiveness of the vaccine, the fact that people still get it, the fact that natural immunity, if you've already had it, is greater than being vaccinated. So if you already had it, you shouldn't have to get vaccinated. None of that stuff matters within the confines of what the league and the union have agreed the rules to be. You cannot like the rule, but the rule is the rule. And plain and simple, even with the change that's been made to weekly testing for vaccinated players, if you want to ensure that you're going to be available for as many games as possible this season, getting vaccinated is the way to do it based upon the rules that have been created. You may not like the rule, but if you want to do what you have to do to be available to your team and to make your money, to earn your money, not get paid because, oh, sorry, I can't play because I tested positive or I was a close contact, but I still get my money. Thanks, union, for that. There's a lot of people that have issue with that. They think if you can't play, you shouldn't get paid. You're getting paid, but if you want to play, you got to get vaccinated.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.